Hello and welcome to the Charlesbarkeytulpadcast. Since this is the first episode, I will explain what the purpose of this is, as well as more about me and my work. For some of you, this will be your first introduction to me. I make videos for YouTube. I am currently exploring many types of videos because I do not feel satisfied trying to do the exact same type of video over and over and over and over. I want to try something new with every video. I want to experiment. I made some very well written video essays, if I say so myself, some comedy skits with me in a horse mask, and more music video type shit, but my way, which is better than most music videos, which kinda suck. This podcast is my attempt at doing more unscripted and personality work, more raw, stream of consciousness stuff, because people don't think in essays, people don't think in structure, really. People think very unconnected thoughts, and the pattern recognition abilities that we have just connect those thoughts, and that's how we get smart, that's how we come to conclusions. For example, you're on a bus and you see a man, and he reminds you of your cousin, who is the closest thing to a brother to you because you're an only child, and you feel like you should call him. That man and you calling your cousin aren't connected at all, really. But your thoughts led you there because your consciousness is just a collection of memories, and how you make sense of them is very abstract and irrational, and it's more guided by emotions and primal instincts than by pure reason. A lot of my video essays have a consistent theme that is related to this, and that theme is kinda the basis of a lot of my videos, really. The theme or larger idea of mine I couldn't even put into words until this year. But I understood it abstractly and emotionally before that. The idea is that humans act irrationally. They act irrationally because of emotions and base desires and instincts. So if we can rationalize emotions, we can rationalize the irrational. Once we can empathize with each other and fully understand each other, instead of throwing everyone we don't understand under a bus, then we as a society can function better and a lot of the problems will be solved. So that's my artist statement for all of my shit, right? My video, What is a Fetish? 100 Fetishes You Should Know. I made that because I legitimately wanted to know and understand people with different sexual stuff going on in me. I personally feel that a lot of the societal bullshit about sexuality and demonizing it has done a lot of harm. It's the opposite of empathy and understanding each other. Okay, digression here, right? But you know how often you see people talk about releasing anger? As if anger was something quantifiable. And when you use it, it just goes away. What, does being happy use up your limited happiness supply? Of course not. Studies have shown that indulging in your anger and making yourself more angry, guess what? It makes your anger issue worse. You see it in culture and media, people, stuff saying yeah, I have a hard day at work and then I go to Fight Club to release stress. But have you noticed that boxers and people who fight for sport often sorta have anger issues? Yeah, doesn't solve it. Anger isn't necessarily bad. Anger, when controlled and used as energy to do something good, is great. The problem is indulging in anger for anger's sake. That's bad. Same for sexuality, right? When you can control your sexual urges a bit and indulge in them appropriately, it's great. Masturbation isn't bad, I'm not going to go down that route, but addiction to masturbation and addiction to sex can be bad because they can impair your ability to do other things. I covered this in the first video, and it's ridiculous how many people don't understand mental disorders, which again goes against the core philosophy about empathy, right? So first of all, mental illness and mental disorder, different things. The difference is in the name, okay? A disorder is something that prevents you from living your life. It ruins order. Disorder, the opposite of order, get it? A disorder is only qualified as such when it negatively impacts your ability to function or causes harm to you and others. Everyone has anxiety, but when anxiety is so bad that it prevents you from going to your job or talking to people, it impairs your ability to function, so it causes disorder. For the first video, I read the DSM-5. It stands for the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition. This is used by the psychology community to diagnose people with disorders, so I'm not quoting this secondhand. This is the official book your doctors use to diagnose this stuff. So, to reiterate, all the people who don't know their shit from their fuck about diagnosing mental disorders will tell you that having a fetish for feet is a fucking illness, and it's not. A fetish for feet isn't even a disorder by definition. Fetishes and paraphilias and all that are just abnormal sexual attraction. But a fetishistic disorder, or a paraphilic disorder, is when those sexual attractions fuck with you to the point you have big problems about it. If you're harassing people so you can get their feet or something, that could be a disorder. If it's just something you do in your room when you finish your homework and you do your taxes and you follow the law, it's not an issue. The people who I have a real problem with are the people who think that if you have some atypical thing you do, you have to change it because it isn't normal, and that means that your brain is wrong or something. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's harmless, it's harmless. It's very straightforward, people. Especially the people who really believe that misinformation and have a strong sense of guilt or shame because they think they have to be like everyone else in that regard. The people who are like, oh god, I got aroused looking at that human body, very subtle animal features. I think it pills or something. In the fetish video, I make a whole case as for why attraction to furries is way more human than animal, and it just means you like humans with some variety, alright? Something I didn't cover in the video because it would be too off topic is abstraction. So here's an interesting thought, right? When you look at the drawing of a fictional person, all you get is an idea of that person. And ideas aren't unexpected. A real person has like intestines and bacteria and skeletons. You don't think about it, but life organisms are really, really gross, and without your idea of a human being being a skinned, clothed consciousness, it would just be like meat and muscles and fat and blood and organs in the nervous system, the stuff that makes you feel like less of a skinned, clothed consciousness. When you see a drawing of, let's say, like a very attractive or arousing person, all you see is what you want to see. If you imagine interaction with that thing, it's perfect. But if this drawing was a real person, it would probably have health problems. Like, the proportions would be a little fucked. They might have unnoticeable noses because you don't really notice the nose in your perfect abstraction of a person. So they might have trouble breathing through that. They might have too much weight in certain areas that make certain things harder, all that. Especially like the more abstract and unrealistic animals. Like, you really think My Little Ponies with their huge fucking heads and eyes would have, I don't know, neck problems or something? Like, what did the skeletal structure look like? Real horses have a large main body and head. And the head makes sense as like a tool for being alive. Cartoon-colored ponies use a lot of clever tricks to make you think they're cute, but probably don't benefit them evolutionarily. I mean, all you have to do is look at dog breeding to know what I'm talking about. Pugs have flat faces and look cute, but guess what? They have breathing problems because their nose isn't a long dog snout, and dogs have snouts and their entire biology complements itself. The snout does this so that other things can do that, Humans might not be the fastest runners being bipedal, but, cheetahs is faster, dogs are faster. But what being bipedal does give humans an advantage is long-distance running. We sweat. You think antelopes that we chased in the Sahara Desert 100,000 years ago in Africa sweat? They still don't sweat. Dogs pant when they need to get the blood pumping. They don't sweat. Horses, they sweat. And that's why we use them as transportation for thousands of years. Because they can sweat and run long distances. Horses and humans are very alike in that regard of being good long-distance runners, and there's actually a horse versus human race, and I forget the country, but it was created because of a bet that if humans raced horses over a long period of time, humans would win. So they do the race, and guess what? Eventually people did beat the horses. But horses are still pretty awesome. Gotta love horses. Anyway, the point I'm making is that abstraction is very unrealistic and tricks human psychology. And the reptilian brain I talked about in the fetish video is fucking stupid. So don't feel bad about liking weird shit. Because everyone is fucking stupid. Everyone got tricked. They got trolled by the artist to make us think that a bunch of lines and paper was anything but that. I'm drinking beer right now, so I thought it would help me talk better. I don't know. Tell me in the comments if you think getting drunk is a good idea for doing a solo podcast. So anyway, my first wheel project, the first wheel thing, creative project I ever made that was, I actually put effort in, something wasn't for school or for anyone else. It was just for me, right? It was the Why Bronies Exist paper, which was called an autistic research paper on why bronies exist. It all started back when I was hanging out, it was summer vacation back in school, and I was like, you know what? I want to understand bronies. I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. What's a brony? So I watched a show, and it was like a 7 out of 10, It wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen. I've seen better cartoons. It's like in my top 10 personally, but in the lower half of the top 10. So I watched the show, and I was like, I heard that My Little Pony fandom began on 4chan. Let's do some research. So I went on to 4chan, and I read some things and talked about, oh man, we're the original fucking pony facts. We call ourselves the horse fuckers. We're not like the bronies. The bronies are cringy artists. So I did that. I asked around. I interviewed some people, or, did some archiving into 4chan threads. I read a couple of stuff. I talked to a few people. And eventually I wrote the first draft of my research paper on Martin Luther King Day 2015, and people liked it. I posted it on 4chan, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good, but this is shit. And I took that criticism to heart. I fixed it up. Someone helped me. They were like, got a lot of good advice, gave me a lot of good filters, and I added more. Then later I posted it again, and then someone else wrote a whole thing about their history, and I added that. And just over the course of a year, from 2015 to 2016, I just on and off wrote that paper, did a little research every once in a while, added more and more. And the final real draft was, Martin Luther King's Day 2016, and that's what I got now. And it was really good. I'm still the most proud I've been of something I've written before. And that's because I toiled over it and really thought about everything. I went from completely thinking bunnies were like complete bullshit to really understanding them and coming to my eventual understanding. Understanding people, empathizing with people is how you do it. You need to understand people's emotions to understand them, because emotions are irrational, but when you rationalize those, it all makes sense. I said that in the part of my video that was like, and finally, people are just different. That was the conclusion I came toward. That was me opening another bottle of beer. Another reason that I think I'm good at writing is because my mother would always look over my English homework, and she was really strict about it. Like, she had really high standards for my writing. And I was like in 6th grade. I was like 12 years old and doing like a book report, and she'd like want me to do all this shit. Like, I'd fill all the requirements, and the teacher would totally like it, but she wouldn't like it, so I'd redo it over and over just to please my mother. And I took her criticism to heart, and over time I figured out what she wanted, and I became a good writer. And I looked at other people's writing, and they were way below mine, Like, they were terrible. Some people are just terrible writers. It's unbelievable. I didn't like it at the time when I was a kid, but now I really appreciate what my mother did in helping me write. She really taught me about, trying to explain stuff. How do I say this? My mother is a very straightforward person. She doesn't like ambiguous bullshit. So whenever I tried to pull the ambiguous bullshit to make paper last longer, she would see right through it and like, please explain this like a human being. And I'm like, okay. So I wrote it better. I wrote it more straightforward. I wrote it very simple and concise and summarized. And summarizing is hard to do, really. Summarizing isn't the easiest thing. I try to summarize almost everything I do. That originally, a lot of the videos that I wrote for were like twice as long, and I had to cut it all down to make it as straightforward and simple and concise as I can make it. So, I think that's why I'm good at writing. You just have to do it a lot, and be able to self-criticize and recognize differences, recognize when you need to try something new, and experimentation and all that good stuff. I worked on YouTube for a little bit just to get a lot of practice to understand what making a video was about, understand what recording audio was about. I did the fetish video as a practice round just to build up to the Why Bunnies Exist video, because that was the video I've kind of wanted to do ever since that was 3 years ago when I was in school, So I eventually did do it, and it felt really awesome. It felt great. I also had the mentality of like, when making my YouTube videos, I had to do a lot of practice. Practice. I had to. The first video I made, it was like a tech tutorial. It was how to wipe your computer and reinstall Windows 7. I did that with my mother's computer because she asked me about it. So I was like, okay, I'll wipe your computer. And I just made a video tutorial, and I learned a lot just about that. Like, well, for one thing, you should probably script it and then record the audio first, and then record the visuals second, Or, record the visuals and then later write the script, or write the script while you're recording the visuals and then record the audio later. Don't do it all at the same time. It wastes time. Unscripted isn't the best. It's not the best. You should always script it and record the audio and visuals separately and then combine them later after you're done. Music was also kind of shit in that video, and I figured out better ways to add music in the background, what type of music you should add. And I learned just basic video shit. And you just need to keep making videos. You just need to keep writing. You just need to keep drawing. You just need to keep doing it. You just need to practice. That's why the name of this episode is Practice, right? This podcast is practice. I might not even upload it, okay? This is a practice pilot. Pilots don't always represent what the final product is. Have you seen the pilot for fucking Adventure Time? And then saw the actual first episode of Adventure Time? Totally different. It's very important that when you make something, you really show it to people and get their opinions and see stuff that you might not be able to see the first time, and build on that and fix that and see what you can change. Self-criticism and willingness to change and willingness to experiment and willingness to fail are the biggest things that building skill. You need failure. Failure is a great teacher. I made a video that's unlisted now, but because I uploaded it, I just got dislikes up the wazoo, so I unlisted it because it was about like animals dying and animal slaughter and stuff. And I put a lot of work to do it. I was really proud of it, and then I uploaded it. I was like, oh, everyone hates it. And, someone commented and explained why it wasn't good. And I was like, okay, I understand now. I feel like I learned a lot from uploading this terrible video. I feel like I learned a lot about what people want and what I thought people wanted and what they actually wanted. And I was able to adjust it and go back to my roots and be like, okay, this is what a video actually should be. So that helped a lot. And I really want to get across the idea of, practice and trial and error and experimenting to get good, because practice. Because no one comes out of the pussy. No one's born good at anything. You come out of the vagina as a baby and you're nothing. You're just a little screamy parasite that grew inside of a womb for 9 months. And what can you do? Nothing. You can't do shit. You know how you got to where you are right now? You worked for it. You learned language. You learned how to walk. You had help from others, of course, but you still had to work for it to get to where you are today. Do you think that someone came out of the vagina, like, oh, I'm Mozart, I'm gonna make music that's like right then and there when they were crying? They're like, like that's a baby crying music. No, they had to work for it. They had to practice. They had to be willing to fail and try for it. So people who say, I'm not really creative. I'm not really someone who can make creative shit. That's not really me. Well, again, no one's born a creative. You know what kind of mentality that is? That's incel mentality. That's the mentality that you can blame your genetics for why people hate you, and not because you're a shitty person who insults everyone you meet and dehumanizes everyone and, is like a total asshole, and no one wants to talk to you because you're an asshole. It's not because of your looks. It's because of your personality. And it's really convenient if you can blame your genetics, if you can blame your looks, because that's something you can't change. It's really convenient for you because you don't have to work to change yourself. You don't have to realize the harsh truth that people hate you because you're a shitty person. You can just blame it on, factors that you can't control. That's incel mentality. That's the mentality that you have when you say, I can't be creative. I'm not a creative person. I can't learn anything. I am not a good drawer, and I've come to terms with the fact that I'm never going to learn how to draw. That's not really what I want to do. I can just pay someone. I can commission someone to draw. Who cares? Some people who are better than me, people who want to do that. I don't really want to do that. But if I really wanted to, I draw once a day. I look up classes. I wouldn't go to classes. We live in the 21st century, motherfucker. I download online courses on how to draw. I draw 1 hour a day, and I get good. That's how I would get good at drawing. You can start anytime. You can get good at drawing. I haven't because I don't want to, but if I wanted to, I could. So that's how I got good at writing. That's how I got good at making videos, was just practice. One of my videos is called, I organized my 11 gigabyte meme folder for 18 hours. And that was earlier. That was before I started really making videos seriously. But that taught me a lot. I learned a lot about work ethic from organizing memes, okay? I learned about, scheduling and consistency because I told myself, I'll do it when I can. I'll organize my meme folder when I can. That doesn't work. You give yourself too much flexibility and you'll always have an out. You always have an excuse. Too much flexibility isn't always the best. You need to give yourself a specific time to do it. You need to plan everything else around that. You say, okay, I'm going to play video games, and then at 6 p.m., I'm going to organize memes for an hour, and then at 7 p.m., I'll go eat dinner. And, I had to learn that the hard way. I had to learn the hard way how to teach myself how to work. And the way I fixed it was by scheduling and timing. I'm a very competitive person. I'm not very good at letting people win, like I'll play with my little cousin who's like 5 years old and I'll always beat him. I can't let him win. I'm very competitive. That's how I became like one of the top like 10 players in the world at that game. I'm one of the best players. You could try to fight me, but I'll beat you. I'm not the best, definitely, but I've gone to like quarterfinals and semifinals pretty consistently in the tournaments for that game. I'm one of the best. That's because I really don't like losing in that game, and I like it. That competitiveness is a blessing and a curse. Some good motivation for me working is having friends and stuff that also do the same thing. They're also YouTubers. I want to make more YouTube friends just so I can teach them and they can teach me. You learn a lot from these students, and I want to teach people how to make videos, and then they can learn from my mistakes and not have to make my mistakes, and they get good, and then I learn from them about how to make myself good. We bounce off each other, and it's competitive, and I want to be better than them over and over and over, so I'll keep working to get better at them, and they'll never beat me because I'm the best, So that video of organizing my memes, that was 1 hour and 30 minutes a day. Usually at night, because I didn't sleep consistently at that point in my life. I would stay up just to organize my memes 1 hour and 30 minutes. And I did that 12 times for 12 days, and then eventually it was done. If someone told me that I was going to be organizing memes for 18 hours, it would be a pain in the fucking ass, right? I couldn't do it. But if they told me, just do it an hour a day, and you'll be done in 12 days, that's more reasonable, that's more understandable. And within that hour, I can't have an out when excuse to leave. I don't have that immediate flexibility of saying, I'll do it when I can. So yeah, I have a kitchen timer actually, and that kitchen timer, you twist it, and it clicks down, and when it reaches the end, it rings. And, that's for like when you're baking for 20 minutes, and you want to set a timer for 20 minutes, and it rings. But I use that for work. I'll set a timer for 30 minutes, say, okay, I'll do my homework for 30 minutes. I'll finish my math in 30 minutes, do that, and then count down. And that really helps me work. Just hearing that tick, 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 because I want to beat the time, because I'm competitive. And that was something my mother helped me realize again about work ethic and helping me to not procrastinate. Because I have ADD, which is attention deficit disorder. And again, I made it clear what a disorder is, so I'm not sick or anything like that. I just have trouble paying attention. I just have enough trouble paying attention to impair my ability to function in school as a kid. And I taught myself how to focus. I use my competitiveness to make everything a game, and that helped me win, because I really want to win games. I made YouTube a game, I made organizing bullshit a game, and that's how I was able to do it. I have a problem with people. Okay, so I've had people say this to my videos. Were you on drugs when you're making this? Were you on drugs when you're making this? Are you on the spectrum, dude? And I don't have problems that people... Okay, I do have a problem. Basically, any that's you want drugs, bro, response to anything, anyone trying to bring something new to a stable environment, people trying to experiment, people trying to, go outside the box. It's just like, oh, you weren't thinking like me, you're on a different thinking spectrum. No, that's bullshit, and that's very close-minded. I'm drunk right now. I drank 2 beers. I can tell you right now that getting on a different state of consciousness, you can't really work like that. People who are high, the stereotype is that when you're on weed, you just want to kind of lay around and watch TV. You don't really want to work. Weed isn't the best for motivator. So smoking weed doesn't make you work better. You don't work on drugs. You don't really... Especially that you on drugs response makes it seem like the drugs did all the work. The drugs did all the creative work, not me. I did all the creative work for my videos. Okay, nothing else did it for me. I didn't take LSD and then LSD did it for me. Okay, I don't take drugs. I never smoked weed. Never did anything that. I only drink. And it's especially okay. It was just like this one interaction I had with a person who, I talked to him and I just said some stuff and he was like, "Are you autistic?" And I'm like, "No, I did a test. I didn't do an online test. I did a real test. They gave me a real test to see if I was autistic, and I did pass the test and I wasn't autistic." And like, well, the fact that the school that you're in made you take the autism test probably means that you have autism. And I'm like, no, I don't. And like, well, it's the only thing I can explain. It's like people can't understand others without putting them into little boxes. It's like very, very insecure. It's like, oh wait, someone has different political opinions than me. They must be autistic. That's the only explanation. I'm the most, neurologically typical person around, and everyone who disagrees with me is neurologically atypical. They have retardation. They have, autism. They have something that explains why they think. It's the easiest way to dismiss someone is to say that they're crazy. It's the easiest way to dismiss someone is to treat it like they have, an illness or the brain isn't working properly. And again, I explained disorders. That's all bullshit. So don't perpetuate that. Don't tell people that drugs. It's very insulting to tell people that we were on drugs when we made this. It's very insulting because I made it. I came up with the creative work, and it also implies that there was no thought put into what I was doing. That it was just weird for weird's sake. And I want to really emphasize this, that everything in art happens for a reason. At least, if you actually put work into it, it wasn't a school project, okay? It wasn't a fucking something you were doing for someone else. It wasn't something that you had to do. It was something that you did because you really cared about it. Something passionate. You did everything in it for a reason. There's a saying that's like, sometimes when people analyze a book, and they will say that the room is blue because it represents the emotions of the person who is depressed at that point in life. Or sometimes they're just describing the blue room. And people like to quote that or whatever. But if you're writing the room and you're going to describe the room, you could describe any color for the room. But you chose blue for a reason. If they said it's a blue room, that's not just decorative. That's for a reason. Decorative gives a lot. When you read Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling describes something, it's not just to put you in there and make you feel like everything is decorative. The decorations mean something. They tell something about the world that you're in. They tell you something about the story. They tell you something about the characters. They tell you about the narrative. They tell you about the setting. They tell you about the magic. They tell you about everything, okay? These aren't just superfluous. Everything in art happens for a reason. Unless you're a shallow piece of shit. Unless you're a hack. Everything in art happens for a reason. Like, just think about this, right? When you have a camera and you're recording, you could put that camera anywhere. You could put that camera on any angle. You can put that camera at any height, closer or farther away. You can put that camera high or low, down or low. There's three-dimensional space that you're working in. But that director, that cameraman, they chose that angle and that place and space for a reason. Angles are important. If you have a high shot where the camera is up high and looking down at the person, then you, as the audience, are supposed to be looking down at them. You're supposed to feel like you're taller than them. If you have a low shot where the camera is really low and it's looking upward, it makes them feel bigger than you. It makes it feel like they're really powerful and important. The angles matter. Whenever you're looking at a shot, you should really pay attention to the angles. Like that scene in Pulp Fiction, the one where it's like, say what again? I dare you, motherfucker, say what again? If you look at the camera is like behind the guy in the chair's shoulder, and it's looking up at, the other guy. So you're looking up at him, and he looks scary as shit. And then when the camera turns, you're looking at the guy in the chair at an eye level. You're looking at, the lower chest of the other guy. So you see the guy in the chair at a low level, and you see him at eye level, because you're supposed to be at his level. You're supposed to feel like you're in his position. Quentin Tarantino didn't put those angles in there for no reason. He could have put that camera at any height, but he chose you to put you at eye level at the guy in the chair, because he wants you to imagine yourself at his level. He wants you to feel like you're him. He wants you to feel terrified. And then when it flips back, again, you're looking up at the other guy with the gun. So, those angles matter. Those angles tell a story. The position tells a story. You just have to think about it for a goddamn fucking second, That's all you have to do. Like, when I make my videos in my editing software, I have to scroll through every frame to make sure the video is how I want. When the video cuts from one scene to another, I chose that cut. I had to choose that cut. It's not automatic, you know. There is a reason why certain things cut, why things at certain angles. You think in big blockbusters, big Hollywood blockbusters, the people who, you know, go through every scene looking at the camera, they don't notice all the things in that scene. They don't have to look at that scene for like 5 hours, like a 30-second scene for 5 hours, and comb over it and really make sure it's exactly what they want. They look at that movie longer than you have. They noticed that thing that you noticed, and they put it there for a reason, okay? You know, maybe it was a bad reason. Maybe they would have fixed it if they had budget and time limitations, you know, but it's there for a reason, okay? The Cinema Sins, again, I don't have a problem with criticism. I don't have a problem with different opinions, but I do have a problem with this, what were they thinking, you know, mentality. I have a problem with people saying that there was no reason to do this. What was the reason you did this? This has no purpose. Take it out. Because the creator did put it there for a purpose. Maybe a bad reason. You know, it's all subjective. But they did put it there for a purpose. They could have removed it. When you're filming a scene in like a populated area, maybe it's different. Maybe the people in the background you can't really control. Even like a Hollywood production, of course the extras are doing something on purpose. If all the extras are walking in one direction, the director told them, okay, in the background, I want all of you to walk left. Or they'd say, I want you to all walk in any direction. They tell them that, and there's a reason. It's deeper than that. And if you ever made something you actually cared about, you would know. You would revise your paper. You would draw every line in your drawing. You would skim through every frame of your video. You would do everything in the video for a reason. Maybe it's a bad reason. Maybe you can argue about it, but it wasn't done for no reason. And that's how you analyze media. That's how every frame of painting does it. That's how Nerdwriter does it. That's how all the video essays do it. That's how everyone analyzes media. They just ask questions. Just look at something and ask, why did they do that? And then they have a hypothesis, an educated guess as to why they did that. You know? That's all you have to do to analyze media. That's all you have to do to become a Nerdwriter. That's all you have to do to become a film critic. You just have to look at everything, every single frame, every single sound effect, and ask yourself, why did they do that? And then maybe you'll understand a bit. You're like, this room is blue and the person is depressed. Why is the room blue? Maybe it's because they're depressed. Unless it's really amateur, maybe unless it's like, again, a school project, unless something where you're just trying to fulfill the requirements, unless it's one of those, unless it's really low budget and you're just filming your room because you have to, then yeah, maybe not everything was done for a reason. But if you actually give a shit, if you're actually trying, if you aren't a shallow fuck making shallow art for shallow people, then you did it for a fucking reason, is what I'm saying. So that's how you analyze media. Maybe you can look through my videos and maybe analyze why I did everything, okay? Because I did do everything for a reason, you stupid fuck. I didn't do it because I was on drugs, bro. You just have to look at the behind the scenes of any movie. Just pull up your Blu-ray DVD and go to the behind the scenes. You really should, for every movie, to really appreciate all the work that was put into it. You know, the last time I got really drunk, I broke my nofap. It was like 3 in the morning and couldn't sleep, so I drank and watched some videos, and then I was, you know, aroused, so I masturbated, but I was on nofap. I did it against my will, you see. So it's pretty sure that, like, that was rape, right? Because drunk sex, you know, you're mentally people's consent. And I understand that now that happened to me. That I didn't want to masturbate, but I was thinking correctly because I was drunk. So I was definitely under altered state of consciousness. I definitely wasn't able to consent correctly. So, I mean, if you have drunk sex with yourself, then you rape yourself, right? That's my train of thought. I think I got raped. I think I raped myself. Anyway, I want to talk about my taste of being viral. You know, definitely something a lot of people who aren't, you know, internet personalities want to know or want to experience and don't really experience, which is going viral. And that's what happened when my video, A Guide to Non-Binary Gender Symbols, happened. Which, by the way, I made it in 2 hours. I made it up as it went. I didn't have a fucking plan for it until I was making it. You know, again, I said everything happens for a reason, and I was definitely true for that because I had to go through it. but I didn't put that much thought into it, you know? It was done for a reason. They just weren't very deep reasons. It was posted on Reddit, the YouTube Haiku subreddit, and it went trending there. And it went from 45 views the previous night to 1,000 when I woke up. I spent the whole day watching those numbers go up. By the end of the day, it was 40,000 views, which was the biggest video of mine that I made, and it wasn't re-upload. The biggest video that I've ever made that wasn't re-uploaded at that point in time was like 2,000 views. And so I was trending because I made a good video. Holy shit, I actually put effort into something. I actually put thought into something. I'm actually, wasn't making a stupid fucking joke. I actually had thought put into my video. And people saw that and realized it was fucking good. Because I'm a comedic genius. Because I worked for it. Because I practiced for it. So big thing for me. I learned a lot from going viral. Everyone messaged me. They were like, hey, dude, Charles, you fucking did it. You're cool now. You're famous. You deserve it, bro. I'm like, hey, thanks. Some said, hey, someone posted your video, and I told them that I know the guy who made that. You should send a message, stuff like that. I wanted to comment on the Reddit post that was number 1 on YouTube Haiku at that point. So I created the Reddit account, separate from everything, and I started responding, and immediately I stopped feeling cool. Because everyone was, worshiping me, everyone was telling me how cool it was. Because everyone was everyone was responding to it, and they said, oh, this is so funny, oh, I like Pokemon, and they, really latched onto it, and I just kind of looked at service level, and then they responded to my posts, and I just got people like, wow, really great, wow, this is really good, wow, and and I realized, did they really like my video that much? Or were they just saying that because they wanted to get close to the guy who made it? Did they just want to get a taste of what they viewed as like a famous person? So one person responded to my post and they were like, so do you understand why gender is bullshit? Do you understand why there's only 2 genders and we need to kill all black people? And I responded to that. I made a little comment, and then someone else responded that like, ha ha ha, that was really funny, ha ha ha, and your videos are great. Anyway, can you answer my question about the video? It was just like this constant, I'll suck your dick mentality that I got from these people. And this one person, and then the person responded to my response to him. It's like, but gender is bullshit, and there's only, white race. We need to save the white race. You agree, right? You're cool, right? You understand why non-binary genders are bullshit, and we need to kill all black people. And I was about to respond, but then someone else responded to me. It was like, you don't have to argue with him, okay? We all loved your video. Your video was the best meme I've seen in a very long time. You don't need to argue with him, okay? You don't need to listen to his bullshit. We all get it. You don't have to respond to him. And I just realized that because I was, seeing this famous viral in their eyes, that I could auto-win arguments. And that felt really wrong. That felt really bad. I wanted to argue with this guy, but because I was famous, I pretty much already won. That shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't treat celebrities like they can auto-win arguments because we think they're funny. No one auto-wins arguments. No one. It sucked. It really sucked. I didn't like it. And I felt like they should respect themselves. I think that the Redditors who were really sucking my dick and trying to really be cool to me should respect themselves a bit, I'm just a guy, dude. You should, you shouldn't totally throw yourself on the bus to make others feel good, because you need to respect yourself, bro. If you wanna, you can't love others until you learn to love yourself. Is what I'm saying. Relationships are a 2-way street. Anyway, I felt less like the greatest guy in the world, and I felt more like I wanted to throw up. I didn't like being famous. I didn't like being viral. PewDiePie. Everyone was upset at him because he said the N-word and he ruined YouTube or something. He's just a guy, okay? He of course he has a responsibility or whatever. But, people should respect themselves also and not treat PewDiePie like he's a god. He's just a guy. PewDiePie is just a person like you and me, and we shouldn't expect higher things of people just because we think that they're the only existence to make videos, the only existence to be the YouTube personality or whatever. PewDiePie doesn't deserve that. PewDiePie is just a guy. PewDiePie is just a guy. I'm just a guy. You have your abstract idea of me. You have your idea of me just being a guy who makes videos. That's all you know me as. The guy who makes videos, the guy who entertains you. But, I work 4 days a week. I go to college classes 2 days a week. I only have 1 day off, and that's the day that we schedule everything for me to do. I'm still working on videos. I used to upload once a week, once every 2 weeks, and then shit happened, and I upload like once every 3 months. It sucks, but I'm still working on it. I downloaded online courses on how to do After Effects. I downloaded online courses on how to make music production software. I'm trying to make music. I'm trying to learn how to make my videos because I'm pretty satisfied with my video making ability at this point in Sony Vegas, which is what I edit in. And I want to move to a higher level of that. I want to move beyond that. And the only way I can really do that is by learning new things and trying to experiment. And that will lead to failure, but that's important. So I made this podcast as a practice. This is a practice podcast. I might not even upload it as like the first episode. It's a pilot, a practice. So please tell me what you think. Please tell me what you think of this. It's all bullshit. Tell me what you think. Should I... also, this video was like semi-scripted. I had a note list of a couple of notes, just saying everything I wanted to get down. It wasn't, full scripted. I'm still talking unscripted, but I had little lines like here it says, "Why Boeings exist and my first real passion product." That's the line, and then below that was, "Why this episode is called Practice, Practice, Practice." Just like some basic structure and how to structure everything and everything I want to say, but it's not scripted. Should I script this? Should I talk more about me out? You don't care about me. You care about what I have to say, right? I'm sorry if you want more videos. I'm working on it. I'm learning After Effects. I have a video plan. I'm collecting images and videos for it. No music video bullshit, more like horse deer. I am working on it. So these podcasts aren't like a replacement. I'm not gonna, become a faggot who does Let's Plays and podcasts as a replacement for talent. I think it's important that Let's Plays and podcasts be a well-earned break from working on what you want to do. Unless you're a hack, who only makes Let's Plays and podcasts. It should be, a well-earned break to keep people interested in your personal narrative, to explain and expand on your work. But it should not be a replacement. If you aren't working on videos, if you aren't working on drawings and stuff, then you have no experience to talk about. You have no vision, you have no passion, you have no reason to take a break from drawing. You need to keep drawing an hour a day, like I said. And no one has no reason to care about you. It's a sad truth, but if you make really good podcasts and you have a really good personality, it's really funny and interesting, nobody will care unless they have really basic meme bullshit that you make, like guide to non-binary gender symbols. The point of that video was, it was like hype. It was like excitement music, because when someone discovers, if someone doesn't feel like they fit in the gender binary, and they discover that video, and then they discover non-binary genders, and it's like, oh shit, this is really exciting. I can finally, be myself. That's what the hype music was. That was the the SpongeBob Jellyfish Jam. That's what it's all about. It was about being hyped and feeling excited for something. And then, of course, the joke that gender symbols look like Masigno. And the movie was like, she was looking at Tumblr and she found all the genders coming for him. There's like a gender storm and all that. That's pretty obvious surface level jokes. But the higher thing was like getting excited. And there's a yin-yang symbol. Do you not know what a yin-yang symbol is? Do you not know about Taoism, motherfucker? Do you not know about action to inaction, motherfucker? Look it up, motherfucker. Yin-yang, I'm talking about, higher things than the black and white. I'm not a black and white person. Us versus them. That's bullshit. I'm not gonna lower myself to that. And if you want to astral project to a higher plane of existence of me, then you can join my Discord. You can follow me on Twitter, because I'm very funny and very cool. So I'll see you later. And I won't upload that second podcast until the other video is done. I promise. This is just, again, practice. Comment. I will read all the comments. Unless someone has 100,000 subscribers and has a billion views, they're reading all the comments. I swear to God, if you're on a smaller channel and you're leaving a comment, they will read it. Okay? You should leave comments, because they do read it, and it does help. I'm, like I said earlier, I'm very into self-criticism and improving yourself, so, I appreciate any advice or things you give me about how I can improve this podcast. Maybe you want to join my podcast? Yeah, sure, whatever, who gives a fuck? Maybe not now, because I'm busy working on videos and working every day and going to college classes and shit, but, Maybe we could do a podcast together. Don't treat me like some higher abstract being. Talked about abstraction early in the video about the perfect idea of what a person is or drawings it is. But I'm just a guy, man. I'm just a guy. I'm just sitting in my room recording this while drinking 2 beers and trying to understand, trying to help, trying to make the world a better place, And I cut myself earlier today, so I have band-aids here. I was washing dishes, and then the dish just snapped, and then one of the plastic edges of the plate just cut my hand, and I have a band-aid over it. So I gotta go finish cleaning the dishes. I'll see you later. I'm gonna go do some homework for my college, and then go to work tomorrow. So see you on the astral plane.